Hey guys, welcome to this video. I hope you are all feeling well and staying healthy out there in these times, and happy to see you back for another review. Today we are taking a look at a more affordable range of gaming laptop series from Asus, the TUF series or TUF series. TUF I believe stands for the Ultimate Force, and it's separated from Asus other higher tier sub-brand, which is Republic of Gamers or ROG. The TUF family is Asus' attempt to capture the entry-level gaming market, so you can tell right away where Asus has cut corners in order to bring the price points down to make this laptop. The plastic material that makes up the bulk of the laptop doesn't feel as nice as the Strix series from the RG family. The RGB backlit is only single zone and can only display one color at a time as opposed to multi-zone RGB. The typing experience is okay but not fantastic, and what probably bothers me the most is a lack of a SD card reader in the TUF A15. Those of you who know me and watch my previous videos know I like my SD card readers in my laptops. The TUF A15 unfortunately doesn't have one, so you need to connect one externally, which adds more bulk. There are two sizes of the TUF series from Asus. The A15 has a 15.6-inch screen and weighs approximately 2.3 kilos or 5.07 pounds without a charger. The A17 is the 17-inch version and weighs just 300 grams more at 2.6 kilos or 5.77 pounds. Both the A15 and the A17 share the same design language, build quality, and ports. What separates them is in hardware configuration and panel. More on this later in the video. The speakers on the TUF A15 is hidden inside two small cutouts on the left and right side of the laptop. Both delivers 2 watt each and are bottom firing. I was positively surprised by the audio on the TUF A15. This is one area they haven't skipped out on quality. The volume is loud and voices are crisp and clear.
For years they have given us their songs, their labor, their dreams. In exchange, we have taken our tribute, our profits, our control. This power is ours and ours alone. We shall prevail.
The only thing I'm missing, and that's coming from the ROG Strix laptop I recently reviewed, is that the A15 does not have dedicated volume buttons, and you have to do it the traditional way of pressing down the function key plus F2 for lower volume, or function key plus F3 for higher volume. But this is a small one and doesn't ruin the overall listening experience. The keyboard is pretty standard for a gaming laptop of this price range, and they're okay to use, but it's not as pleasing of a typing experience like say any laptop from the ROG Strix series. The keys have decent travel distance, but they feel a bit mushy and soft to type on. If you like mushy and soft keys, maybe you will like this one. The trackpad and the buttons have the same feeling as the rest of the keyboard. They do what they're supposed to do, but honestly, it's probably little there that will excite you in a big way. As the laptop is mainly built from plastics, and it's not a unibody design like a MacBook Pro, there are a few areas you could feel the chassis flexing quite a bit when pressing against it, particularly below the spacebar area and close to the arrow keys. This is something that you probably won't even notice in a retail store or if you are purchasing this laptop online. But I feel like this is worth a mention, as build quality is something that I will consider myself when shopping for a laptop. In terms of overall design, the TUF A15 has two different designs for the top lid. One has plastic black cover, Asus calls this one BONFIRE black, and the other one has metallic finish. They are otherwise identical in the type of configurations that you may find on the market. I do like the metallic cover better. It's kind of like aluminum with sandblasted finish, but it makes the design stand out because they are merging two different materials here. Asus has named the metallic one Fortress Grey. Aesthetically, it looks clean. The finish feels great and it doesn't collect fingerprint that easily either. However, should you accidentally get scratches on this thing, the scratch marks might be more visible on the metallic surface than the plastic one. The logo sits right in the middle, and it kind of reminds me of the Triforce logo from Nintendo's Legend of Zelda franchise. The rest of the laptop is made out of plastics, including the keyboard part and the bottom part. The bottom part has some cutouts with honeycomb design to make it structurally stronger. The TUF A15 has two platforms. One is based on Intel CPUs, the other one is based on AMD. The Intel-based A15s has i5 to i7 options to choose from, and on the graphics side, you should be able to find models with GTX 1650, 1650 Ti, or 1660 Ti inside. As for A15s built with an AMD platform, you will find more options both on the CPU side and the GPU side. You will be able to find models with R5, R7, or R9. For graphics, you should be able to find models that comes with GTX 1650, 1650 Ti, 1660, or RTX 2060. The TUF A15 supports DDR4 memories with speed up to 3200 MHz and configurable up to 32 GB of RAM. It also has 2 DIMM slots for future upgrade possibilities. These are accessible through the bottom. By unscrewing 11 screws, you can open up the bottom part and access what's inside. Here you are able to upgrade both the M.2 SSD as well as the SATA spring drive. If you're watching this video and you want to upgrade some parts by yourself, I will show you how to do it in an easy way. After removing 11 screws, you will be able to remove the lid and access what's inside. So this is how it looks like inside the TUF A15. On the top part, you will find some heat pipes running up here. 2 fans to the right and left side. And here's the battery. An additional place for an extra hard drive. And here's where your memories would go, one on the top and one on the bottom. Finally, your main drive goes into this slot. There is also one extra slot for an additional SSD if you ever needed that. The extra SSD slot is only available to the 1660 Ti and RTX 2060 configuration of this laptop. The AMD version of TUF A15 supports Wi-Fi 5, 802.11ac, and Bluetooth 5. The Intel version of the TUF A15 supports the newer Wi-Fi 6, 802.11ax, and Bluetooth 5.1. Wi-Fi 6 is the newer technology. Some of the benefits over previous Wi-Fi generations are lower battery consumptions for Wi-Fi 6 devices supported by Wi-Fi 6 networks, higher data rates, and increased capacity with reduced latency to support higher numbers of users simultaneously. It is ideal for crowded places like airport terminals, hotels, or big stadiums. It does require a new Wi-Fi 6 router if you wanted to work with your new Wi-Fi 6 device. Wi-Fi 6 routers are compatible with older Wi-Fi standards, but if you want to enjoy the full speed that the new generation offers, then both your router and your device must be Wi-Fi 6 compatible. Right now, AMD-based laptop systems are cheaper than their Intel equivalent, so if price is an important deciding factor for you, I think the AMD-based TUF A15s is a sensible choice for a lot of people out there. The webcam sits in the middle on top of the display panel. It's a 720p HD webcam. 720p is not the highest resolution out there. I mean, today there are phones with front cameras that can produce much better quality than the ones found here, but at least there is one for the occasional Skype call. Otherwise, I tend to use my smartphone for those video calls, and I'm pretty sure the majority of people out there are like me. What do you think? Do you think webcams are a necessity for modern gaming laptops, or are they more a blast from the past? Let me know in the comment section. There are 2 display options on the TUF A15, and it's the same 2 display options that you are presented with, no matter if you choose the Intel or AMD platform on the A15. So when you buy this laptop, you can get it with either 60Hz or 144Hz refresh rate panel. Both of them offers Full HD resolution. Now, these 2 panels are quite similar, but not exactly the same. They share the same color gamut, both capable of displaying 63% of sRGB and 47% of Adobe RGB. If you're a photographer or videographer, you can find much better panel options out there. While the A15 isn't primarily optimized for content creation due to the screen, it is pretty good for gaming. Most panels offer anti-glare treatments, which is great for gaming. You don't really want a panel that acts like a mirror reflecting tons of light. Both panels have the same viewing angle of 170 degrees field of view and a 16:9 aspect ratio. The 60Hz panel has a brightness level of just 200 nits, and the 144Hz panel is slightly higher at 250 nits. No, you won't be able to see much on either panel outdoors under super bright sunlight, but you should be able to appreciate the higher panel refresh rate on the 144Hz panel. The AMD version of this laptop also comes with FreeSync, which is a technology that helps to reduce screen tearing by introducing dynamic refresh rate. With FreeSync, the refresh rate of the display is synchronized with the frames of the graphic card, reducing visual artifacts such as input latency and stuttering during gameplay and video playbacks. On the Intel version of the A15, there is no support for any adaptive sync for the panel. However, if you connect this laptop via the USB Type-C connector, you can still get G-Sync through DisplayPort 1.4 to an external monitor. The 17-inch version, simply called TUF A15, also has two panels to choose from. There's a basic one that comes with 60Hz panel refresh rate and 200 nits of brightness. The more advanced panel has 120Hz panel refresh rate and is rated at 250 nits of brightness. The color gamut are very similar to the 15-inch counterparts. Both are IPS level displays with the same viewing angle at 170 degrees field of view. With the 17-inch, you can only get adaptive sync on the 120Hz option, not the 60Hz panel. So the 144Hz panel, if you're choosing a 15-inch, or the 120Hz panel, for the 17-inch size, are the ones that I will go for. It's worth the extra money if your primary intent is gaming on this laptop. The power adapter that comes in the box is surprisingly small, at only 150 watts. These are meant to power the 1650 and 1650 Ti configurations of this laptop. If you opt for a GTX 1660 Ti graphic card or even an RTX 2060, the power adapter will be bigger, as the power output increases to 180 watts and 230 watts respectively. The standard battery size is 48 watt-hours. You might find a bigger 90 watt-hour battery on the 1660 Ti or RTX 2060 version of the TUF A15, if that configuration is offered in your country. This should give you a significant boost in battery life, as it almost doubles the battery capacity. In my findings, using the bigger 90 watt-hour battery, paired with the more power-efficient AMD processor, you can get over 10 hours of continuous 1080p video playback, which is amazing for a gaming laptop. 90 watt-hours is also close to the legal limit of 100 watt-hours battery capacity that you are allowed to carry on board a commercial US aircraft. It's worth mentioning that you can only find the bigger battery as standard on the 1660 Ti and RTX 2060 version of the A15 and the A17. On the 1650 and 1650 Ti configurations, the 48 watt-hour battery is the only standard option. If you choose the 90 watt-hour battery version, it will not be possible to upgrade to the SATA hard drive, as this space is occupied by the bigger battery. In terms of connectivity, the TUF A15 is fairly straightforward. Most of the ports are on the left side. So you have a headphone jack, one USB Type-C port, two USB Type-A ports, one HDMI port, one Ethernet port, and one power port. On the right-hand side, there is only one single legacy USB 2.0 port. Seeing these kind of slow legacy ports in the year 2020 is quite strange, but I guess it's where Asus is making those cost savings. If you enjoyed the video so far, be sure to leave a like, subscribe to the channel and turn on the notifications so you don't miss out on future videos. Another feature that Asus is trying to highlight for this laptop is that it passes the MIL STD 810H standard. So if I'm reading Asus website here, it basically says that the laptop has to pass a set of tests that include drop test, vibration test, humidity and extreme temperature to ensure reliability. This is what Asus claims. Now, I didn't try to drop my laptop on the floor, or splash it with water, or put it under the sun for 2 hours or anything crazy like that. But just from my own experience using this product, I don't get the feeling that this is a product that will endure extreme treatment like the Panasonic Toughbook, or laptops from G-Tech, or some of the more well-known PC laptops out there with a more rugged industrial design. In fact, I would treat the TUF A15 more like an expensive toy. I'm sure Asus has passed all those tests to get the certifications right, but I would still not dare to treat this product with anything less than utterly care. Compared to the RG Strix laptop I reviewed earlier, the build quality of the TUF A15 actually feels worse in my opinion. That's enough about durability. Let's dive into performance and see what the A15 has to offer. The AMD options are very compelling compared to what Intel is offering this year. AMD's 4000 series mobile CPUs are faster and cheaper than the equivalent latest and greatest from Team Blue. So we're going to take a look at one model that represents the more affordable side of the spectrum. The laptop I'm testing with has an R5 4600 CPU, an NVIDIA GTX 1650 graphic card, paired with 32GB of RAM and 512GB of SSD. In the synthetic benchmark program, Cinebench R15, my configuration of the A15 scored 1295 points, with an OpenGL score of 87 frames per second. In Cinebench R20, the A15 scored 2970 points. In Unigine Heaven, the overall score was 1006 points and 40 FPS, using Ultra presets and running at 1080p. On to some gaming benchmarks. I'm testing all games with the highest graphical settings turned on, VSync is turned off, and all the games are run in 1080p mode. In Hitman 2, I was mostly getting between 50 to 60 FPS, though this could potentially drop back into the 40s in very dense areas. If I drop the quality to medium, I'm able to raise the FPS considerably into the 70s and 80s. The second game I tested was Witcher 3 Wild Hunt. This game cannot sustain a solid 60 frames per second in ultra settings, and again I need to scale back on graphics to improve overall FPS. The final game I tested was Shadow of the Tomb Raider. This game has a built-in benchmark, and it scored 44 frames per second in average. Again, everything turned to max quality. The 1650 is not a card you should expect to be able to play all the games at high settings while achieving high FPS at the same time. All three games I tested struggled to maintain a solid 60 frames per second in 1080p. However, if you scale back the graphics to medium and tune down some of the details, most games are very playable with this card. All games I just tested are some of the most graphically demanding titles out there, and requires a lot from your PC in terms of hardware. Fortnite is not as taxing on your hardware, and in this game you can still achieve above 60 FPS in epic mode, running at 1080p. There's an upside to not having the beefiest graphics card all the time, and that is the lower tier cards do not generate as much heat. None of the games I tested exceeded 70 degrees Celsius, despite running in turbo mode with highest graphics on. I also tested to export the G14 laptop review file, which I now use as a reference in my tests. That's a 10-minute 51-second long video. The G14 exported that video file to H.264 for YouTube in 7 minutes. The Strix G15 did it in 4 minutes 45 seconds. And the TUF A15 with an R5 4600H and GTX 1650 graphics card took 11 minutes 2 seconds to render the same file within Adobe Premiere. This is the first system I tested that actually took longer time to render out the file than the video lens itself. Both the Zephyrus G14 with AMD Ryzen R7 and the RG Strix G15 with Intel Core i7 did it in less time. So if you're looking for a portable editing machine and render times are important for you, you might want to look for a high-end configuration that gives you more CPU and GPU processing power. In conclusion, the TUF A15 gaming laptop is a solid entry into PC gaming. Every fundamental function is there and it fulfills your basic needs, but nothing out of the ordinary and nothing major eye-catching. It works but won't wow you. I find the smaller arrow keys and the lack of SD card reader to be a miss when Asus designed this laptop, and there are more capable machines out there for content creation. Where this laptop really shines is the cost versus performance ratio. It doesn't have all the bells and whistles that comes with Asus' more expensive offerings, but it gets the job done, and it's a solid choice for the mainstream gamer. If you can find a bigger battery on the 1660 Ti or RTX 2060 configuration, coupled with an AMD processor, I think you will have an overall very compelling value proposition at hand, and that might be exactly what you're looking for in a gaming laptop. If you enjoyed the content, feel free to hit that like button and share the video to your friends. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments and I will try to answer them when I have time. Subscribe and turn on the bell notifications so you won't miss anything when I post a new video. I hope this was informative for you, and I will see you in the next video.